Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa has urged all residents in high-risk regions to remain vigilant and limit non-essential travel as severe winter conditions and heavy snowfalls impact parts of the country. Disruptive snow and cold weather have severely affected parts of the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and the Free State, leading to major route closures. Well, for now, we are joined, and for more on this, by KwaZulu-Natal Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs spokesperson Siboniso Mngadi. We're hoping as well to be joined at a later stage by the Road Traffic Management Corporation spokesperson Simon Zwane. But as soon as we get him right, we'll the picture and the connection right, we'll get him onto the screen. But in the meantime, a pleasure having you, and Siboniso, thanks very much for your time.
No, thank you very much, Leanne, and good morning to you and the viewers at home.
Let's get the latest. Let's get an update now, because we are seeing that the inclement weather is subsiding in certain parts. One we are reporting on is the Eastern Cape is looking a lot better with less snow, but the rain is still there. Perhaps you can give us a picture of what's happening KZN and elsewhere.
Well, it is more of the same thing that we are currently experiencing in KwaZulu-Natal. The snowfall has a little bit subsided, but we're experiencing heavy rainfall in different parts of KwaZulu-Natal. As a province, the MEC for Cooperative, Reverend Losses of Telezi, has also urged the motorists to exercise extreme caution and make sure that those that do not necessarily have to drive on the road to remain in the houses. We have also our teams also remain on high alert, because we have received the warning from South African weather services that low-lying areas could be affected by flooding, and the low-lying bridges and all those areas. We are keeping a very close eye on those things. We are also particularly urging the farmers to make sure that their livestock is kept in a very safe place, particularly in the Midlands areas and towards the far south of KwaZulu-Natal, where we've been experiencing the snowfall. This is one of our techniques just to minimize the impact of the snowfall. The road for now remains open, but the RTI teams are closely monitoring all the major roads that were affected by the snowfall. But mostly our will remind the motorists to exercise extreme caution when they drive, because most of the roads remains wet and slippery.
Yeah, and that's a real challenge, and we'll speak about that with Simon in a short while, about the roads and taking it easy on the roads. But I want to speak to specifically about communities that are living in these high-risk areas. What help have you provided? Because these temperatures are absolutely freezing, nothing that they are used to. So let's perhaps talk about what you've managed to provide to communities that are struggling with these very, very low temperatures and adverse conditions.
Well, as of Friday, when we firstly received the weather warning from South African weather services, MEC Buthelezi activated the joint operation cluster, which include a number of municipalities that are likely to be affected by this cold front. So what we do then, we encourage our municipalities to open up the temporary shelters, particularly for vulnerable groups from informal settlements, so they can make use of public infrastructure such as community halls and churches around the areas. We work with the community structures like ward councillors and all the municipalities within the area, so that we can move people where they should be in need for them to be removed to a more safer place. Because we've seen in the past when the rains, they become more and more and people get flooded at the end of the day. So those are one of the techniques that we're using. We're also partnering with our disaster management social partners that are assisting us as government to provide disaster relief, like blankets, warm food, because some areas have already experienced the power outages where people they left without power. But also what we're also encouraging is the use of fire. We already responded to a number of fire incidents over the weekend. We understand that people may resort to the use of open fire to keep warm during this cold. We are also sending a warning there that those that resort to use of fire, they make sure that they also remain very careful to avoid another disasters that are fire-related.
All right, Simon, thank you, because these are important messages, particularly when it comes to the freezing cold and then people lighting fires, and this is where we do see loss of lives there. But I want to go to our next guest because I know he's on the line as well. We've got him, his connection, Simon Zwane. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Simon. Simon, of course, is from the Road Traffic Management Corporation. Simon, the roads, obviously these are things that we have to watch out for. We've heard, and I keep emphasizing in some of the areas in South Africa, the roads that were closed have been reopened, but there obviously are still roads that are affected. Perhaps you can give us more, like Van Riemen's Pass, the R617, that was completely closed at one stage. What are we looking at right now?
Good morning, Leon.
Morning, Simon.
Well, the situation has improved largely on the roads because all the mountain passes that had been closed have now been opened. However, the situation remains dangerous because of slippery surfaces. It's also raining in many parts of the country. So we really are advising motorists to reduce speed and increase the following distances between their vehicles, and do take care that those who are driving within the cities and the metros must also be patient because in some areas the traffic lights are not working properly, and therefore there's no need to push on. Just be patient and ensure that you can travel all smoothly.
Yeah, indeed. And I know you've been giving very, very harsh warnings to people. If you don't need to travel, don't travel, because it is difficult out there. And our cars are not equipped to handle these kind of surfaces when it comes to icy roads and our tyres slip and all of these things. Countries keep very specific tyres and they even put chains onto the tyres, things that we don't necessarily have. So I hear you. And of course with the traffic lights, because there's a lot of power outages, particularly around Gauteng. So we don't have those. So my question to you is, are there extra personnel that have been deployed, traffic officers that have perhaps been put to these hotspot areas to scale up the 24-hour monitoring operations along different routes like the Drakensberg and perhaps routes towards Lesotho?
Yeah, municipalities are deploying to those intersections that are known to be a challenge, just to assist with the free flow of traffic. But really, the situation becomes dangerous even for traffic controllers at this stage when surfaces are wet and takes longer for vehicles to stop. So that's why we really are calling motorists to also reduce speed, especially when approaching intersections, take into account that it will take longer to bring a vehicle to a stop.
Yeah.
But also that they must be considerate. There are also pedestrians that are walking on the street. Some are wearing dark clothes. So it's time for extreme vigilance, really, on everybody. Those who are driving vehicles, also the pedestrians themselves, to ensure that you can also reduce the number of pedestrians who may be knocked down by vehicles at this stage.
Indeed, and that's very real. We see it happening even when these conditions are not present in South Africa on our roads, and that is it's a real harsh reality. But in terms of where we're at, I'm not sure what the forecasts are looking for, but it doesn't look like there's going to be as heavy snow as there was yesterday, but maybe in certain places there will be. Advice to motorists if they become trapped by rapid snow accumulation, what sort of active search and rescue or emergency humanitarian plans does the Road Traffic Management Corporation have in place alongside provincial authorities?
Yeah, we are working with the disaster management authorities in the provinces and at local level, and identifying challenges as they emerge. So that has also assisted us largely this time around to ensure that the number of incidents are reduced. On some of the mountain passes, the emergency teams are spraying with brine constantly to ensure that the road surface is usable and to remove black ice and all of that. So we are working with those disaster management authorities, keeping an eye and monitoring all the routes.
Thank you so much, Simon. Siboniso, I'm going to leave the final word with you, particularly from a KwaZulu-Natal perspective. It's holidays for certain people. Some are going away, some are returning. The roads are busy. So let's just give one final message to those that are going to be heading to KwaZulu-Natal, driving out of it, or even just living in those areas. What's the advice you give for today?
It's unfortunate that this cold weather hit us when most people were enjoying the extended weekend, but we understand that as of today, some people will be traveling back to their places and those that have visited the province. But our call is to urge those that can extend their stay until the weather improves, probably tomorrow, and then they can start to make their way. Those who do not necessarily have to go out, we encourage them to keep indoors and remain safe. Those that will be using the road, check the weather warnings in all our platforms and listen to the news so that we ensure that we minimize the impacts that this cold front can have on our lives.
All right. Good advice there. Thank you so very, very much. Siboniso Mngadi is the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs spokesperson. Simon Zwane, who we've lost him subsequently once again, but I'm glad we got to speak to him a bit due to that bad connection. But Simon Zwane from the Road Traffic Management Corporation.